Hey guys, this is Heretic, and in this video I'm going to go over all things Cavalry related, including when you should make the change to Cav, which artifacts, totems, zodiacs, and equipment you should get, both for the Cav Archer and for the Cav Mage setups, and the formations that I like to use. So there's a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and get started. First, why should you go Cav? Cav is built a little bit differently than infantry for your front line. So they end up, in a full march, the Cav end up on the edges of the front line. So you have the infantry in the middle and the Cav on the outside. While for raw defense, infantry is better. Cav is much better as an offensive weapon that can also do well on defense. So whereas your infantry is just straight up defense, the amount of attack that they do is very minimal. Your Cav can do both attack and do a lot of damage, as well as they can hold off the enemy to keep them off of your back line if you do it right. So when should you go Cav? So whenever I started, way back when, one of the first persons that I talked to about, like whether I should go Cav or I should stay infantry and that sort of thing. Well, he told me, if I go Cav, wait until I get to C34. And he said that for a really good reason, honestly. It's because here you want to get to your second dodge. That is what people would always say to do. Get your second dodge, and then it's worth making that jump up to the next level. Plus, your T11 Cav is really, really strong. And while that's great, what I've done in the, past two times that I've kind of built up and then gone Cav is at around 30, I go ahead and I start making the move. So at 30, you have your T10s. Your T10s are pretty good. If you're ahead of most people, your Cav are going to do really well against the majority of people, depending on your tech. If you have very high tech for your Cav defense, your Cav HP, especially here, if you have decent Cav attack, making that move a little bit earlier is not a bad thing. I started moving at C30, and I timed it where I would have enough troops at C31 to be able to have a full march. And I did that so that I would at least have my dodge 1, which I have here. I'm not spending more Azurite right now on my Mystic College because I'm still trying to get to C34. At C34, the T11 Cav is just amazing. So I'm kind of waiting. Plus, I'm trying to keep up with other people here that are Cav here that have already hit 34 in the last few days. So I'm trying to keep up with them. So I'm trying to get to my 34 and get my T11s before I start putting more into my Mystic College. But let's go ahead and get back to how things work. So stats, your tech. Alright, so there are a few different stats here that you need to pay attention to. And we'll go ahead and we'll look over here. So of course, when we're dealing with Cav, your HP, your attack, your defense are all important, right? So your health is important because that's how many hit points of health each one of your Cav has in its march, before they actually die. So if you take that number and then you go over here when you're building your Cav, you go over to your Cav and you have your HP over here at T10, you have 1401. At T11, you have 1834 HP, and then you add the HP that you have here in your stats, and that gives you the overall HP that you have. So right now I have 1400, or so cav HP, and then it'll go up to 2000 in the T11, right? So that's your health. So your health is, it's just that, your health. When everything else is eliminated, your health and your health is lost, that's when your cav die. Your defense, though, your defense is the stat that's taken into account before your health starts being lost. So this determines, how much of an attack actually has to happen before your cav begins to take that damage. It's the same thing if you look back in your troops. We'll go back over here and take another look again. So if we look here at your T10, you have 94 defense, and then you add on the, let's see, whatever else I had here, you add on the 49. So that's your total defense that has to be beat. All right, so the next thing would be your cav attack. So because your cav are an offensive weapon as much as they are a defensive weapon, having high attack is really good. My attack is actually kind of low. I should, work on that a little bit to make it more of an offensive weapon. So those are your, what I say, the top stats, right? But they're not the most important. The bottom stats, the stats that typically end up here in the bottom of your, of a battle report, or when you're looking at your details, they're the more important stats. So the number one most important stat is damage reduction. So things like, let me see if I can find a good one here. Damage taken reduced when attacking, I have 0. It's one of the most important stats. So anything you can do to reduce the damage that you take is much more important than your cav health or your cav defense. This will actually, think of it this way. The higher the damage reduction you have, the less attacks make it through to your defense to reduce the health of your troops. So if someone was going to hit for 100 and you had a 20% damage reduction, they would only hit for 80. So then instead of taking 100 health off of a troop, it would only take 80. Think of it that way. It really quickly becomes the most important stat that you can get. And the way that you get these stats, you can get them through your beast talents. So if you look in here, so you have like your damage reduction in your beast talents. You also have in your totems, there's some pretty good damage reduction here. Infantry and cav damage taken reduction. That's just as straight. Doesn't matter if I'm attacking or if I'm on defense or whatever. I'm gonna have that reduction. When my totem's with me, right? I always have to keep that in mind. You can also get them from your gear enhancements, which are really, really important. It's one thing that you want to work on. I don't have the one that I would want, but the damage taken reduced when attacking is super, super important. So damage reduction, super important. Another one is damage increase. So you see here I have a couple have damage increase when attacking and another damage increase when attacking. Also have it over here in my beast talents. Here, just damage, straight up damage when attacking. Those are super important as well. So the damage modifiers in general are the most important. So that's going to be for both your mage or your archer as well. So a lot of these will apply to that as well as your cav. So they're really important to have. So let's take a look at your how you should set up for your beast. So you have these skills that you could pick from, right? So you have to kind of balance things. You should try to get, and I know it's going to seem extremely high, but 100% damage reduction from mages would be one of the things that you would try to focus on. So you would want to try to get one of your skills here to be that mage reduction when you're able to. It's still pretty early on in the game. That's one of the things that I will be working on, especially when I'm able to get my third skill here. Probably put that right into mage reduction. And I'll do that until I can make up for that in other places. Other things that you'll want to focus on with your beast is health, march size, and attack. I'm going with attack and health to get those stats up. But another one that a lot of people will go for here is getting their march size up. March size is really important. The more troops you send, the bigger chance you're going to have to actually win, right? So let's look at artifacts. So this is where it gets pretty interesting. So for your cav, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about both different, both setups here. So I'm Cav Archer. So I'm going to go golden armor for sure. And I'm going to do that because it has so, many benefits when it comes to reducing the damage or the keeping my cav alive, basically. So, you get down here to the 5th and the 6th star, which are damage reduction, for my cav and for all troops. And the HP is pretty good too. Right, so that's a really good one, whether you're cav mage or cav archer. Golden armor is one of the things that you'll want to focus on. I'm getting pretty close to my 3rd star there. For archer, I like to go with the Apollo's bow. I like the skill as well as I like the abilities here, the stat increase. So it's given me archer attack, damage against angels, cav HP, and troop damage later on. It also has damage versus cav is one of the ones. I didn't mention that in golden armor. The number one stat that you get at the very beginning that increases as you increase the level of the artifact is the reduction of damage taken from mages, which of course is super important because most people go mages. If you notice in your realm that most people are going archers, then of course you'll want to boost that stat. So other for archers and cav, other artifacts that I would take is Heavenly Spear. If you look at the actual stats that you get here, it's attack and damage, which are super important, like we were talking about. The Kalidafitch, again, starts with the reduction in damage from mages, and the stats here are really good. It gives me my cav attack. Damage against angels is good. Attack boost, HP boost, cav HP. Another good one. And the skill is really, really good as well. So I like to use that. Now, so there's 4 of them, so you have one to choose from. You could either go with the Excalibur, which is good. It gives you a good attack here. Cav attack, army size, also good. Your march size, really good one is. And then probably the other one that I would go for here is the Leviathan, and I would go for this. It's one of the best artifacts in the game, if not the best overall artifact. It's going to give you the Victory Horn, which is great, which is going to raise the attack of your troops. It also has some really good abilities like attack boost, reducing damage taken from mages, another one. Reduces damage taken by archers, troop damage and HP boost. It is a beast of an artifact. Definitely get it if you can. It's expensive. That alternative would be the Excalibur, which is free because you can get fragments in the monster swarm every week. All right, so that's for the Archer Cav setup. Now for the Mage Cav setup, I would again go with the golden armor. That's amazing. Then I would go with the Brionac. Damage against infantry boost, always good. Then it has Mage attack, Cav attack, attack boost, troop damage taken reduction, which is amazing. Next, I would go with the Mulgeneer. I'm not sure how to say this one, but it is a good one. Damage against infantry again. You got your attack boost and your mage attack up there, which are important. The skill is it's okay though. Eventually, you would probably want to evolve it and take it. As a backup, I really like to go with the Ganjiang Moi. You get some of these in the beginning as you build up that give you some decent stats as you build up before you actually get to the golden artifacts, which are a lot more expensive and take a lot longer to get. Alright, so let's go over to Colossus. The Colossus. Don't forget about this one. Again, what you would want to do, focusing from the very beginning of the game, is not go to your Archer, your Mage, and activate those. You would want to go with your front line always, which in our case is the Cav. So again, the things that you would want to focus on are, taking less damage from mages, taking less damage, from archers, and then you would want to do your health and your defense, your attack over here. You would want to move those up. And you would want to move them up, and the thing that you're going to do is you're going to focus on the skills that you get. So you get damage against angels boost at 50, and then you get the attack boost at 70. And at 70, you'll be able to activate your second Colossus. And at that point, you can move over here to the Archer, or you can move over here to the Mage, and start moving those up and getting their skills and their stat bonuses. So that's the Colossus. Now if we look over at Zodiacs, so this is also going to depend on the way that you are building your actual, if you're going with your Cav Mage or you're going Cav Archer. It depends on that. So the Zodiacs that you'll want to focus on are the ones that give a damage reduction for Cavs, which are the Ares. If I can find it here. Right here, go to the overview. Damage reduction for Cav. That's a really, really important one. You want to go with the Libra. Here. Reduces damage taken from angels and also gives you your Cav HP, and Cancer, which gives your Cav HP and reduces damage taken from archers. So all good. Then the other ones that you would want to focus on are the ones that align with your backline. So for example, like Sagittarius, for your archers, it gives me archer attack and archer damage, so it is one of the most important Zodiacs for me for archers. Alright, so now let's go ahead and look over at your equipment. And for equipment, I'm going to focus on your level 30. So let's go start with your weapons. So if I look at level 30, you would want to focus your archers would want to go with the Dusk Ode, and you want to do that because you get this double archer attack, And your mages would want to go for Holy Crossbow because the same thing, you get the double mage attack here, which is really powerful. For your helmet, so if you go down over here to the 30, you would want to get the Templar crown because it has the double Cav HP. So you definitely want to get that one. And for your belt, you would want to get the Blessing belt because it gives you Cav HP here that will be important. So there's another 19 there. So for your clothes, all right. For clothes, you would want to go, the archers would want to go with the dragon scale armor because it gives you cav defense, archer defense, somewhat useful. And for mages, you would want armor of the hymns here because it's going to give you the mage and the cav defense. Okay, for accessory, for mages, you'll want to get the Holy Blessing because it's going to give you some mage attack here. And for your archers, you'll want to get the Dark Lord Guard because it gives you some archer attack with your cav attack there. All right, so then we get to the boots, and the boots are not the best thing here. Boots for your archers, you're going to get the Dusk boots. They're going to give you cav and archer attack. It's your only choice there, but that's better than what the mages get. There's not really a good option. You could go ahead and get those Dusk boots just to get that cav attack, but you really won't find any good boots at level 30. Now, for enhancements, so if you go over here, you go to enhancements. I don't have all the enhancements that I want. What I try to do as I go through, like when I recast here, if the one that I get is better than what I have, then I go ahead and upgrade that and keep it. And then I try to focus on the ones that I have that are the worst. So of the ones that I have right now, I would probably get rid of the Raise Wounded limit. So if I click that, I go over here to the special stats, I can see the things that I have I don't have a choice here, but maybe if I get lucky, one of these will drop. I would want a damage against infantry. I would want, a damage possibly against a cav. I would want, because I'm archer, I would archer maybe, or cav attack, I guess. Get what I can get there. And each one of these gives you different options. The damage increase when attacking is really, really important, so I'm glad I got those. No complaints there. Some of these others, though, damage taken reduced when attacking here. This top one is probably the best thing that you can get from your enhancements overall. So always take that when given the option. Of what, these other ones that are here, there's not a lot of really good choices. I took the cav health. It was better than the other ones that I had a choice from. Raise Wounded limit would probably come after that. Maybe Angel HP actually is not terrible. Most of the others are really bad though. So in general, you want to go for any kind of mage damage reduction. Typically, you would want a plus damage when attacking, and then you would want a damage reduction when attacking. Because most of the time, your stats matter when you're attacking, not as much as when you're actually defending. Later on, a reduced damage taken from angels plus damage given by angels is also really viable because your angels will be a big part of your march. All right, so if we go over to the Mystic College that you get at 31, this one's fairly easy. You would want to go down the line for your For your cav, you would want to get to at least dodge 2. You would want to, you're going to have to get dodge 3 before you can get to Savage Impact, and so on. These new skills that you have here, these Wild Instinct, Magic Barrier, really, really useful. And then you would want to go ahead and work on your Archer, Mages, and Angel. Pretty simple there. Same thing, if you look over in your college, you will want to focus on your cav attack, your cav HP, your cav defense. You'll want to focus on building up, having a big march size, as well as if you're archer, focus on your archer attack. If you're mage, do the mage check. You don't have to do all of these. You can kind of pick and choose as you go through here. Some of them are dependent on getting us at least one training in the one directly above it, but otherwise you can kind of pick and choose. If I was mage, for example, I would have picked this mage staff instead of the mage bow. To get to these, I just have to have one in the expansion 2 here. So as you go up, just keep building. Get your cav HP as high as you possibly can. Get your cav armor, train those, and work on your march sizes. That's really important. All right, so for your Garden in the Sky. So this is another one that's really easy too. Get whatever you can. All of these that you can get from events are good. They're worth getting. The bad thing is that some of these are timed like seasonal. So like this one here, Christmas tree, it gives me archer and mage attack 1.5. To level this up anymore, I'm gonna have to wait till next Christmas. So get what you can, build up your Garden in the Sky. The benefits here are really good. The skills that you can get, if you look in this guide and you go over to, let me go to one of these, so this Dragon Guard's really important. It gives this attack increase that's really cool. There's some that have some really interesting effects with the actual skill that's given. Kind of like this, increases the attack of one of your troops randomly by 3%. It can stack up to 3 times. It can go up. You can actually get some damage boosts for your cross-realm events. There's some interesting things here. The Garden of the Sky is actually really important when it comes to stats, and just get what you can. Sometimes on the top level, to get some of the better things, you have to be further along in a certain event. You could save up your spending for some of these when you're actually going to be focusing on a particular decoration for your Garden of the Sky. So let's talk about formation. So there's 2 different formations that I like to go with, and one of them here that I'll show you is just a simple spear. So a spear means my front line and my back line are of the same exact tier. So in this case, you can see here that I'm only using tier 10. I'm using my front line, my back line, and my angels. I don't have a lot of angels here, don't make fun of me. But the beauty on this, it's very simple. You're not going to expose your back line to any attacks before your front line's gone. So sometimes, like if I would have added one odd tier cav, it would have exposed my back line to attacks because they could have gone in and killed the odd tier and then made it through. So the other way that you can do this is have a double spear. And I'll do a double spear when I get to 34 because it's really important. I won't have enough frontline cav on day 1 when I start building up my tier 11. So what I'll want to do is I'll want to divide up my front line, divide up my back line into odd and even. So I'll have just my odd and even cav, I'll have my angels, and then I'll have my odd and even archers behind them. If you have mages, it'll do the exact same thing. So you'll still get a line here whether your back line is mages or archers. So this is a single attack formation that I really like. The double spear or the single spear. That's what I recommend. So how many troops do you put in those? Well, for the single spear, it's the absolute easiest. You'll want to put all the angels that you have and then put around 45% front line and the rest in the back line, all in the same tier again. So it doesn't matter if it's odd, it doesn't matter if it's even, as long as it's the same tier for your front line, back line. That's for the single. The double spear is very similar. It's all your angels and then add 25% odd, 25% even cav, and then all your best tier backline, and you can add some of the other type of tiers. So if you have, if your T10 is your strong, then add all your T10 if you can. You can throw in some T9s in there as well, and that will build out your double spear. So what do I think overall about Cav? Obviously, this is not my first time to run with Cav, so I do really like it. It's a lot more fun for me. They're a lot faster, so my marches move a lot quicker. They can hold more resources, and having that cav as my additional offensive attacking troop is really helpful for me, especially because I'm using archers. It kind of just works perfect. The cav and the archer kind of work perfect. I've seen some cav mages though that look incredibly scary, and some of the better players in Realm 1567 are using the cav and mage. With the the Mystic College options here with your Savage Impact and your Dodge, as well as all the shields that you can now get in the game, like the Order shield here, the Order totem that gives you the shield, the the flame shield from your beast talents. Those sorts of things, that it really brings your cav up to par with your infantry. I know that later on infantry get a boost through the Mystic College that also make them super powerful, but I'm telling you, the cav is really fun to play, really worth playing, especially if you're able to keep up with that tech and those stats and you know what you're doing. You can be really good at it, and that's why you'll see a lot of people, no matter what realm you're in, as you're building up, a lot of the stronger players will go towards that. They'll gravitate towards cav. You'll see it again and again for the same reasons that I just listed. Alright, and so with that, leave some feedback about your experiences with calves. Ask any questions you want in the comments below. You can reach out to me online. You can reach out to me on Discord, and I'll be happy to help you. Alright, take care.